time now for Coming In Hot with Brent Wallace and former Ottawa Senator Jason York.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. Brent Wallace alongside the smartest man in hockey, York Chop, Jason York. Yorkie, good morning. We have some things to discuss today.
Oh, yeah? Oh, what's going on, Wally? What's on your mind?
We'll get to it later. It seems to be a little bit of a snafu yesterday when announcing the preseason games in Quebec City. And so we'll get to that. I do have some thoughts.
Yeah, a little snafu. Haven't heard that word in a while. That's a good one. Snafu. Yeah. No, I was after our show yesterday. I didn't. I like to decompress. I don't really go on social media for a couple hours, and I somebody called me like, "You check out Twitter. What's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get to that. Jamie McLennan is expected to join us here shortly. We'll get to him. I want to have a discussion. A couple of things. One, obviously, we'll get into goaltending, and then I want to talk about perhaps. I know it's early. Is if Travis Green should at least be considered?
Wow,
for the Jack Adams Award. Considered. Don't lose your collective minds. Just a conversation.
Yeah, it's a little early, but we could talk about it. I don't mind that. I think Noodles will like to chat about that a little bit, but it is a little early, Wally. A little early.
Yeah. Well,
it's okay though. It's okay.
But we gotta have stuff to talk about where it's a talk show.
It is a talk show. Okay.
Right?
Are we a talk show? I thought we were a podcast.
Maybe I think it's basically the same thing. Maybe we'll get the people in Quebec City to weigh in. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I won't bring it up again. Also, later in the show, we will give away a $50 gift card for Gabriel Pizza. Of course, it's getting close to Super Bowl week, so make sure you check out the offers they have coming up next week throughout the week for Super Bowl. All right, this show proudly presented to you by Charm Diamond Centers, more than 85 locations across the country through Charm and their sister brands. They are Canadian owned and operated since 1972. We are quickly closing in on Valentine's Day if you're looking to get your significant other something a little special. Get custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece program. Check out a large selection of Canadian lab-grown diamonds and mine diamonds, and apply for the Charm Flexity card today and get approved for no interest financing on your purchase in minutes. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com. All right. So, Yorkie, big games today going on in the NHL, but the Ottawa Senators still sit third in the Atlantic Division as we close in here. Basically, everybody's now coming up to 30 games left in the season. There's a few, but mostly it's getting to 30 games.
Yeah, it's getting about that time. Well, it's we talked about this last week. We're now have the games remaining column for our talk show. I can't believe you called us a talk show. What are we, like?
Deanie Petty.
Wally Hugh? Like, what is this?
Arsenio Hall not have an afternoon show, or Arsenio Hall? Woo woo.
I like when they started doing Carcinio when they did the combination of Johnny. Anyways, I could see you as a young kid growing up in New Brunswick watching Phil Donahue. Oh,
loved Phil Donahue.
I did see. I knew that's right up your alley, Donahue. Oh my God. I think Noodles is in the back room waiting for us, back in the green room, waiting to come on our talk show.
I can't. Oh, there he is. Okay, he doesn't want to hear any more of this nonsense. Noodles, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me on your talk show. This is awesome.
Like, what the hell's a talk show, Noodles? Like, it's 2025, not 1990.
I know. I will admit this though. My ex-girlfriend was a producer at Montel Williams, so I used to hang out in the green room. Yeah, I used to green for like I don't know how many years. Like I lived in New York or whatever, and I used to hang out in the green room and meet all the people that were coming on the show. Now it was weird. Like I wasn't a big fan of his, but he was a little bit. He wasn't Jerry Springer, like you are the father, that type of stuff. It wasn't that, but there were a few episodes in there. And the weirdest part is I remember meeting his girlfriend, and I swear, I don't know, but looking back, he dated Kamala Harris. And
Oh,
I'm
boy.
trying to remember if that was her or not. Like, but it was just a weird, it was just like a weird, this is like early 90s type of thing, late 90s, mid 90s type of thing. So anyways, I'm well aware of the talk shows, and
Yes.
thank you for having me on your podcast / talk show.
I should have known, Noodles, you would have had a story about a talk show. I just should have known.
You know, Kamala Harris, he met her back in the 90s. Like, that's crazy.
I don't know. I feel like they dated later, but it's weird because when I look back on it when she ran for president or whatever, it's like, yeah, I feel like, I don't know if he was around, but maybe they dated later. I don't know. Maybe it's just in my mind, I'm wishing that it happened, but I know that I've met his girlfriend, so I don't know if that was her or not. So
it's so good. All right, I know you don't have much time because you're a busy day. I appreciate you taking the time. So, our first discussion point today, and it's going to wind some people up. Travis Green, you play with him, but you've watched him now as a coach. Should he, with what has happened with the Sens going from basically near the bottom last year in goals against and save percentage to now, I meant to check this morning, they were 6th in both goals against and save percentage overall, and his team's obviously in a playoff spot, 3rd in the Atlantic. Should Travis Green be considered for the Jack Adams Award?
Yeah, I don't think that's a ridiculous take. I mean, I'll throw in Dean Evison. I'll throw in Spencer Carberry. I'll throw in Ryan Huska in Calgary, because if Calgary ends up squeaking in, I mean, that's been a under the radar because there's been so many storylines in Canada. Calgary gets lost in the shuffle. But Travis Green, let's not forget, you've been doing it without your number one goaltender for now over a calendar month. He's been hurt twice this year. Shabbat's been in and out of the lineup. Sanderson missed that game the other day. I was so afraid that he had a long-term injury or something, because I was like, that is really going to hurt. Nick Jensen's now missed the game. But I look at it, it's not like every team hasn't had adversity. But Ottawa's had a lot of adversity and a lot of excuses. 9-game road trip at Christmas. That could have gone south. Yeah, really south.
Quickly.
So I think Travis Green deserves to be in that conversation. Will he win it? I don't know. I mean, God, if they end up going on some ridiculous run and challenging for the Atlantic, then you're talking. You're going, man. But can his name be in the conversation with the others? Absolutely, based on where they are, where the expectations are, and the adversity they've had to battle. So I don't think it's a ridiculous take to say he has to at least be in the conversation of the top 4 or 5.
Yorkie, before you start, I was going to. We have a list. Do you want to go with the list?
Yeah, in a sec. But Noodles brings up a really interesting point, and I'll just kind of dovetail off that. If you look at the transformation of this team as a whole, of what they were before he got here, and this was a team that couldn't defend, gave up unbelievably easy goals at the worst times of games.
Yeah.
We've Noodles, you saw it rinkside for now how many years, and now it's just, I think there's something to that. And I agree. I think they're going to have to keep doing this for him to win. But as far as transformations goes, they now have an identity. That's the one thing, right? And how long is this team not? Well, they did have an identity. They were easy to play against. now they've got a pretty good identity. So it is early, but I just think the transformation this team has done is it's been something to see.
Yeah, and I'll throw in one other thing. What's been impressive about Travis, you guys know I played junior with him, I played pro with him. We've been long-standing friends since we were 16, 17. The one thing that I've always liked about him is he's been able to relate to the players. Yeah. Now he's hard, but he's fair. And I think one thing that if you ask the current players, what do you like about Travis, is where you stand. And I think he says he probably has tough conversations with them saying, I need more from you in this situation. But he has the ability to prop you up, but also to hold you accountable. And that's the one thing I remember having a conversation with him, overarching, and him saying, I told these guys, you're part of the solution, but you've been part of the problem, which is a really good comment, because they are part of the solution. The guys who have signed here long-term and committed to the Ottawa Senators organization, they want to be there. They want to make the playoffs. They want to be difference makers. And I think they've needed somebody to show them the way. And Travis is saying, yeah, it's nice to win 6-5, but in the playoffs, teams win 2-1. How are you going to do that? How are you going to be able to, push yourself? And it's probably, I think the biggest transformation, you guys maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I see a lot of players. I think Drake Batherson has been, for me, one of the biggest transformation of players, because I see him compete every shift, and I see him winning loose puck battles in his own zone, where maybe in the last couple of years, it's like 50-50, yeah, stick in there, not. But I think Drake has realized he's a big guy. He's a strong guy. He's got great hands, and he's really, a smart player. So he's using that away from just him having the puck. And when I watch nightly, yes, there's other guys. There's Timmy Stützle. I think I'm sure you're going to probably point out Thomas Chabot, because I think Chabot's really, really. I mean, Yorkie, you can speak to defensemen. I think Thomas Chabot has kind of rounded his game out into understanding when to go, when not to go, when to battle for pucks. And I think it's just looking within, and a guy like Travis going, hey, I know you're capable of this. I just need more from you in certain situations. So him probably sitting down, I say probably because I don't know, but sitting down with these guys and going, this is what you're capable of and what you've done in the past years, but I need you to go to here, and I need more from you consistently. Like, the team works really hard. And I don't know if we've seen that in past years where they've worked hard consistently. I think there's been pockets, but now it's like this team is hard to play against, and there's layers of defense where we haven't seen that in past years.
Wally, we had a couple. You just rhymed off 5 names of guys that have changed their games. I'll throw 2 more in there. Wally, we were talking about Brady Tkachuk yesterday, coming back into the D zone deep now, playing down low, not always stretching. And a little bit of that is how DJ wanted these guys to play. They wanted to stretch things out, but I've really been impressed with Josh Norris, Noodles.
Yes.
Playing on the inside. Like, before, when I used to think of Josh, I was like, he's a shooter. He's going to get his cookies on the power play. Now I'm like, he's penalty killing this year. He's taking a bunch of key draws, and and I was worried about the faceoffs with the shoulder, but he's rounded into a pretty good 2-way player. And the same thing, that they compete, right? And you can see it because it's so much different watching from ice level than it is on TV.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I should have thrown those names in there, but I look at Josh Norris as being a really integral part of this team because he is trusted in every scenario. Claude Giroux, when Greeny needs a big draw, overtime or whatever, it's Giroux on, win the draw, get off, and we'll swap out Brady or whoever. But not that Giroux can't do the job. I just think that they identify what they need at certain times. Yeah. But if you could argue that Josh Norris has been just as good in faceoffs and just as reliable, and you're right. I didn't know what what we as fans, what we in the media were going to get from Josh based on, not 100% at camp, not playing in games. You're like, okay, God, this has got a recipe that could go south here. And then you start the season, and is he going to be in the perimeter? Is he going to shy away from contact? It's been the other way. I feel like once he got confidence going, hey, I feel strong, he dove in, and now he's in loose pucks. He's coming off a head injury. He's getting punched in the head the other night, like, loose puck scrums. Like, can't remember who grabbed his head. I was like, oh, that's not good, but you're right in the mix. So I think he's an integral part, but they all have their role. And I agree with the Brady assessment. I think guys like that, and it could have been systematic, but it's also determination. Like, hey, I'm not going to let this happen. I'm not going to let an easy shot on our goaltender. And the fact that, Marilainen's done a great job. Anton Forsberg has come up in his last couple games and played really well. You need that because, I don't know when, I call him Batman. He's got the scarf and everything when Allmark is going to come back. I hope he's coming back soon, right? I mean, the guy is just, I watch him walk into the rink. I'm like, I could wear a $10,000 suit and I'll still look like I crawled out of a dumpster. He is like just put together. Like we had a great chat with him the other day. I don't know where we were on the road, Jersey. And he's just like, he's such a nice guy, an affable guy to talk to. The shoot, like the package is perfect. He's this tall, lean, good looking, nice guy. And he's got the great clothes. And he's an unbelievable goalie. That's the thing. Like, they need him back eventually because he is the best out of all of them, based on his track record. And they do, but they've done a great job without him. And to me, having the success without Allmark speaks to the systematic and the determination of the guys.
There's only so many guys that can pull off a scarf. Like there's there's not a lot that can do it. I remember Alex Daigle could do it, a nice silk one, but most guys get laughed at if they're coming in with the scarf. It takes a certain guy.
If I come in with a scarf, it's got chicken wing sauce on it or something. Like I've used it as a napkin. Like there's no way I'm wearing a scarf, and so I should. I mean, it's European guys, it's the French-born guys. They're all put together. They've got the style. Some guy from Alberta. A guy from Alberta is not wearing a scarf just because I couldn't pull it off. I would love to pull it off. There's no way I could pull it off.
Wally Hughes getting antsy. He's got a board with the coaches. He wants to get that up.
No, that's okay.
Right, let's get the coach board up. Let's hear it.
Okay. I was gonna skip you something else, but all right. Jake, can we put up
I'm calling you Wally Hugh from now
on. Here's our list of potential Jack Adams candidates. Our top 3 are the same: Travis Green, Spencer Carberry, who I think is the odds-on favorite to win. But Neal in Winnipeg. And then I went Dean. I think Dean Evason's done a really good job with what he's been dealt with. And Marty St. Louis, if the Habs can get into the playoffs, deserves some consideration.
Yeah, I missed those guys. I missed Arneal, which I shouldn't. I mean, they went 15-0 to start the season. And I missed Marty St. Louis. DeBoer and Cassidy, I think those guys are perennial. They're in there every year. They're just great coaches.
Which is the problem. Right. Yeah. Same with John Cooper. They're never going to get consideration because they're considered to always have really good teams, and they just have to coach them to win.
Yeah, coach the hell out of them. I agree, but I think a team that is not, and we always go for the new shiny toy. So a team that is not expected to be there. I mean, the reason I had Evason high is Columbus, the adversity they've had to go through, just with the Goudreau situation, all of that. Sean Monahan's not in the lineup right now. They're one of the highest scoring teams in the league, which nobody saw that coming, and their goaltending is somewhat holding up. They are the biggest surprise in the league for me. I think Montreal, I had them pegged, and I took some heat early on because I thought they'd be about an 84-point team, 82 to 84, 86-point team. They still might be. Who knows what's going to happen down the stretch? But they were on pace to be like a 52-point team early on. It wasn't going well for them. And people were giving me heck, and I'm saying they're better than what we see. I don't know if they're as good as what we see right now. So if they're somewhere in the middle, I don't know if they're a playoff team, but I think they're playing meaningful minutes this year. And that Atlantic, man, I mean, that Atlantic is just jammed up. Every night now you're going to see – if a team goes on a 5-game win streak or a 5-game losing streak, that could put them in or out. And it could be right like that, right to the end of the season.
Hey, Jake, go back to the board for a sec with the coaches. The thing, I didn't put Evason up because they're out of the playoffs right now. Who knows? They might get in, but they have been a great story. Also, too, have you seen their home and road records? It's crazy. They are unbelievable at home, but on the road, they're under 500. So there's a team. And then Marty St. Louis, I agree. He is pulling the absolute most out of that group right now. He's squeezing every little last inch he can out of that group. I didn't see them there either, Noodles. They've overachieved big time. Can they withstand it? I don't think so, but who knows? They've proven me wrong until then. But the reason I didn't put them on is because they're out of the playoffs right now. And who knows? This could all change in a couple of weeks from now. But I give Vegas some credit because they lost some key pieces in the summer. They lost some of their key guys. And I remember I was playing golf with Mark Stone. He's like, boy, we lost a lot of guys. He goes, I guess I'm going to be the one-timer guy now on the power play. Like, who's going to score the goals for us? But they just keep winning. It's hard to keep winning in this league, and Vegas just keeps doing it.
You know what's impressive for me about Vegas, and I don't know how you guys feel, is they are, and I don't even know the right word, sociopaths when it comes to dealing with the business.
Yeah.
So everyone talks about the Rantanen trade and how harsh that was. And, Rantanen came out and said, I was going to take, less. And, McKinnon seemed pissed and everybody that organization it's jarred, and it's kind of sent a message throughout the league. All I can think about is Vegas does that once a month. I feel like doesn't matter who you are, who coached there. Yeah, Pete DeBoer, no. Gerard Gallant, nope, sorry, out. Cassidy's available, you're in. Marcia So, thank you for your years of service. We're moving on from you. Marc-Andre Fleury, face of the organization. Sorry, it's Robin Leonard. James Neal signed a long-term deal. You got to go. It's just, they have this mentality. It's business first, emotion second. And I respect it. I wouldn't want to be in it because, as a player, there's no loyalty, but they're there for keeps. And I think that's what if there's any message that any GM, any organization could live by, it's you're there to win hockey games. You're not there to win popularity. You're not there to, in certain situations, expectations from owners. So I know some organizations, it's hey, the expectations, make the playoffs. We don't know, you don't have a Stanley Cup winning team, but make the playoffs and everything can be good. Get a home date, get a couple home dates. But there's other organizations their mandate is Stanley Cup contender every year. Vegas, since they stepped into the league, that's how I feel they've gone about their business. And Chris McFarland came out the other day after the trade and said, we didn't think we're deep enough. But they're looking at Winnipeg. They're looking at Dallas. They're looking at Edmonton. They're looking at Vegas and going, how do we match up against these guys in a 7-game series with Rantanen on a long-term deal? And nothing underneath really those guys. So, Casey Middlestad as your 2. So I think they're going, we're going to move some money out. We're going to get a player. Now, listen, Nesh Cash is a nice player. He's not Rantanen, but he's a good player. You get Drury, and then you use that cap space to add more to the group. I want to see the finished product. But I think these trades, I think that organization, when I think of Vegas, that's ruthless. And that's their mandate.
I love every second of it.
Well, you think about this in Noodles, you think teams are watching, to your point, the Edmonton Oilers keep trying every single year, and it's 2 guys that play 2 minutes every power play. They run them ragged throughout the playoffs, and they play unbelievably well. Draisaitl, playoff Leon is unbelievable. McDavid, but then a team like Colorado is watching Vegas. They're winning. Other teams are winning with the team first mentality. Not that Edmonton's not team first, but it's 2 guys and the rest. It's right. That's a tough recipe.
The one thing I would say about Edmonton is they've been able to build a program that they attract guys on the cheap. So now Arvidsson goes there. Now you get Skinner there. Now they're not all going to be a perfect fit. But I think what they've done, and they might have done the old Kucherov, hey, Vander Kane, we'll see you in the playoffs type of thing. But they have some cap space. And now John Klingberg chooses them because he's I got a chance to go play with the Golden Goose. Maybe to get it done. I think Edmonton is a case study where it's and I grew up in Edmonton, so I can talk about the city and maybe it not being the most attractive. It's minus 30 sometimes. I always talk that there's certain organizations, certain cities that have to pay a tax. I'll call it a tax for the cold, a tax for the market, all of that type of stuff. You get treated like a god in Edmonton, but there's no shorts weather. There's nothing like that. It is Winnipeg's the same way. I've often felt that Ottawa sometimes is, in the shadow of Montreal, in the shadow of Toronto. It might not be Carolina. Some organizations aren't the most sexiest on paper. And you look at it, just take a look at the no trades. A lot of these organizations are on people's no trade list. Edmonton's not. Well, it's because of the Golden Goose. It's because of Draisaitl. So it's you build that program, people want a piece of it, regardless of what's going on outside of that. So Edmonton is getting they're getting some players that probably, I would argue that Edmonton's probably going to go for another defenseman. And I would circle a guy like Jacob Trouba and say, if Anaheim could make Trouba a $4 million defenseman and eat half of his salary, would he waive to go to Edmonton and be a 4 or 5 type of thing in that scenario? They need a big, strong right shot defenseman. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. I'm not in the know. I'm not an insider. But it's just stuff like that. If you build this program, and I think that's where it comes to, Ottawa, you're building a program where it's okay, maybe it's not the sexiest market from the outside, But God, I want to play with Tim Stützle. I want to play with Brady Tkachuk. I want to play with Jake Sanderson. Like, this Shane Pinto, like these players, the spine of the team. They're putting something real special together. And I love Michael Anlow. I think you've got an owner that is committed to the market and I keep coming back to his comments, best in class. Mm-hmm. So he's going to spend money. He's going to make this organization. We all know Dave Poulin. Pooley's a class guy. I played with Steve Staios. I love Steve Staios. Like, they've got the right people in place to build this thing out. And they've already got, a really good team, under contract. So it's now you're building a program. So you might get a guy at the deadline that goes, yeah, I want to be a part of this. Like, I think that they're headed in the right direction. I want to be a part of that. It's the program you build that attracts people.
I got a quick question. I know you got to get out of here, Noodles. It just came to light, I think yesterday, David Pagnotta from the fourth period said, Elias Pettersson, Josh Norris, possible trade. It would obviously include other pieces. Would you make that deal? Does Elias Pettersson make your team better? And I mean, the contract is the contract. We can get into that later, but
what is Josh at? Just under 8? We'll call it 8. We'll call it 8. We'll round up. Yeah. Pettersson is 11.5. I know you say get into the contract, but that's $3.5 million you don't have to spend, right? It's interesting because Pettersson, the 100-point player, like that's a difference maker. But Pettersson, the player we've seen recently and in the playoffs and stuff, I don't know. I mean, you always go for the better player, but arguably, who is the better player right now? If you're going, I got one game, I'm putting Norris in, or am I putting Pettersson in? Like, that's an interesting one because I haven't heard that one. I didn't hear that. Like, I'm on social media. I must have missed that one. But
came out yesterday. Yeah,
that's an interesting, because I think Pettersson is a really smart, unique player. Obviously, Greeny coached him before, so there's a history. But I kind of think Josh Norris is a really good fit with this group too. Like, he's grown up, developed. I don't know. I mean, that one's a sneaky one. Depends on if it's 1-for-1 or who's going out or
what are the
Ottawa, well, right now Ottawa can't take $3 million on, so I'm assuming there's other pieces involved to and besides Pettersson's like 11-6 for the next 7-8 years.
Yeah, no thanks. That's 11th at 6. No, thank you.
It just I've watched games where Pettersson's been the best player on the ice, and I've watched him recently a lot where I'm like, God, they haven't, Ray and the broadcast that hadn't said his name once. You're like, where is this guy? So I don't know. I think it's more just what's going on behind the scenes that is disappointing. But he's a hell of a player. But so is Josh Norris. And again, at $8 million, like Josh can get the 35 goals if he's healthy, and like he's a hell of a player too. So I agree. It might be a no bueno unless there's something else coming with.
Fair enough. Noodles, I know you got to get out of here, so I appreciate your time. Thank you.
I got a few more minutes if you want. You want to get rid of me or not?
Yeah, no. Hey, anytime on the talk show, we love to have you.
Yes. The Phil Wallace show.
Oh, God.
If you had your choice, are you keeping Anton Forsberg here when Linus Ullmark is healthy, or is Levi Meriläinen your number 2 guy? Who is your backup and I understand the contract situation, but that's not the question I'm asking.
Well, okay, so that the only part about that is the contract situation and also the depth of the organization. And what I mean by that is, so Ullmark comes back. Okay, do you trust that he's locked in the rest of the season, or is there something like you're just having one of those seasons where he's a little nicked up? Because if you lose Anton Forsberg, say you put him on waivers and you lose him, now all of a sudden you got Ullmark and Meriläinen into Sogard, and Malcolm Subban, I believe, is on an AHL deal. I'm not sure.
Correct. He is.
So you would have to turn him into an NHL contract at some point if there's an injury up top. I always try and look at the what if scenario, right? So what the what if scenario is if there's an injury. Because yes, would I like to give Meriläinen some runway to get more experience? Yes. Young guy working with a veteran guy, and Ullmark when I was 22, I played with Ron Hextall, who was, I think, 30. Veteran guy, starter, young guy coming up type of thing.
Was he crazy to you or was he good to you?
Hexie was the best. Now, I ended up, our goalie coach was Billy Smith, so I had to head that direction before the other direction, put it that way.
You had Billy Smith as your goalie coach?
Billy Smith, my first NHL partner was Billy Smith. My first NHL goalie coach, my first NHL partner was Ron Hextall. My first goalie coach was Billy Smith. So I needed to head in that direction.
Noodles, my son who played in Barrie, Jack, Billy Smith was the goalie coach there. And then, you know, the story, unfortunate story with Dale Howardchuk there who passed away. When that happened, Billy ended up coming on the bench later and running the D. And my son's like, there's this guy named Billy Smith now on the bench. I'm like, yeah, Billy Smith on the bench. He goes, yeah, he's really old school. And he's telling me to chop guys in front of the net. I'm like, that's Billy.
That would be Billy. I'll tell a quick Billy story outside of my buddy, the Puffin story. I think I've told you with he.
Yeah.
But he told me when you're holding your stick and guys are coming around your blocker side post, make sure and you hold the knob right towards a guy's eye, because he said they will flinch and lose the puck. So guy goes to wrap around. He wanted you to like swing your stick and have the knob like kind of in the eye area, in the face area, so that the guy would flinch. And I always thought about that. I'm like, you can't do it now. But what would Billy do with the Michigan? Because the Michigan, he would just say, put that stick in the guy's eye, like right at his eye, and he'll flinch and drop the puck. So I think of Billy often. He was such a great man to me. Everything was not about working out. His working out was between the ears. He always said, you think the game. And he said, you can always set your position. 7 out of 10 will hit you. You'll make a few saves by going into it to get to 8 or 9 out of 10. But he said, Jamie, it's between the ears. And so when all the guys would be working out, it would be me, Billy, and a guy named Mark Fitzpatrick would go play tennis. And he was all about like coordination and everything. He was an awesome goalie coach, and I think of him often, but it just doesn't fly in today's game. Can you imagine like telling Levi Marilainen, like on a wraparound play now, you don't go across, paddle down. You don't seal the post. You put your stick around the guy's head so that the guy will flinch and not jam it in. So
he's around a lot now because he lives in Smith Falls.
I love him.
He's part of our Sens alumni, Noodles. So when we have a game, Billy will come on and sometimes coach. He's such a great guy, man. I could sit here all day and listen to Billy stories.
I love that, man. And again, talk about your first impression, right? Like I turned pro with the Islanders. The goalie coach is Billy Smith. There's Butch Goring as the coach. There's Clark Gillies hanging around the organization. Brian Trottier, Bobby Nystrom. Like they had all of what they did so well from the 80s team is they brought everybody back and they employed them. They had them around. They had that winning culture. Al Arbor was the coach. Bill Torrey was the GM. And then all hell broke loose. They hired Mike Milbury, and he got rid of all the alumni. They all just disappeared. Like, I don't know if he fired them or he didn't want them around, but there was some dark times there where Mike took over, and it just, the culture kind of lost a little bit. And then, they brought it back, and the new owner to this day, I get emails from them inviting every alumni has an open invitation to go sit in the alumni box, any game. They bring you in. He's really tried to bring the Islander culture back. So they're trying there, but it's man, Billy Smith was a beauty. Absolute beauty.
You know what? You talked about how much you might like Michael Andlauer. That's exactly what he's doing here.
Yeah.
He wants that culture here because he knows how important the alumni is. It's very smart.
There's no reason to not embrace the past and have people like that in the organization, around the team, helping out. There's a reason why those guys retired or live in the area, because they love the city. They love the organization. So why not use them as a tool instead of alienate them and going, well, you're from another generation. Don't be around the guys. To me, I think you mix the generations and it bodes well. Like a guy like Brady, who's a class guy who grew up the right way from his dad talking about taking care of people and being around. Like Brady would embrace that. he wouldn't look at it and go, oh, Chris Neal, what did you do? If anything, he would be the other way going, man, I watched, I grew up watching you. I would love to hear how you view today's game, how you view, and those guys would love to help. So to me, I think including alumni, including that culture, you're right. Michael Andlauer is trying to build that program. It's impressive.
It was amazing to me that Tim Stützle was like, I'd like to meet Daniel Alfredsson. I don't know anything about him. And they had to find a way because Alfie was iced out of the locker room, out of the organization.
Which is crazy. Yeah.
It's wild to me. Little known fact, I had a black Coho goalie stick because of Billy Smith. My favorite team growing up was the Islanders.
You were kind of a salty goalie, eh? Are you getting a little angry in there?
Loved it. If guys were in my crease, they got a little chop in the back of the legs.
Well, last story before I go. I was playing an exhibition game, and we played a neutral site game. You remember those neutral site exhibition games? Like, you go into.
Let's not bring up preseason games. Anyway, sorry.
Okay. Yes. Okay. We're not going to get into that. Okay. I saw Cyril Lito's tweet last night. I thought it was good. So, anyways, and Billy Smith was my goalie coach, and I was trying to impress him or whatever. And he always taught me this little move. Like, I've got my little back scratcher here, so I'm using it for. But
I was going to bring this up.
So he said, like, if you come up, between the legs, right on in the can area, that can injure a guy. Like, that can get his attention. So we're playing against the Florida Panthers in a neutral site game, and Scott Mellenby backs his way into the crease, and I give him, one up between the legs, and he gives me a little elbow in the head. So I give him a tap, and Smitty always said on the side of the knee, there's a spot where your shin pad doesn't cover. So I gave him a little chop right on the side of the right knee, and he screamed and dropped. I hit him in that nerve area, and he got up and punched me in the head, and we kind of got into a little. And the ref came over and was screaming at me. He was like, "That's gutless. That's stupid what you did." And I was so rattled. I was this 20-year-old kid that just, that's Scott Mellenby. I could still be laying there if he decided to knock my head off. And after the game, those you would shake hands with the opposing team on these exhibition games. And as we're going through the line, so I got a 2-minute slashing penalty. Mellenby got a 2-minute roughing penalty. And I stopped him in the line. And I was like, "I'm so sorry." He goes, "It wasn't that big of a deal." But he goes, "You hit me in the perfect spot on the side of the knee. And my knee just went it's like his leg went dead." So I told Smitty that after. He goes, "Yeah, that's the perfect spot."
Noodle, where's that back scratcher of yours? Where's that little... This is almost like a modern day Denny Lemieux from Slapshot.
Yeah, I
hooking is like this.
Yeah, hook and hold. And so I when I sit at my desk and I talk, I'm always holding my back scratcher. And for some reason, I forget that I'm on TV. I'm on a talk show. I'm on a podcast, but I use it as a prop. So there you go.
Oh, so good. I miss you, Nut. I wish you were on every day. Anyway, Noodles, appreciate your time. Your show's fantastic.
All right, guys.
Say hi to O-Dog and
see you, Noodles. Thanks, hey, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. And go Gabriel's Pizza. It's my favorite pizza, too. I see it at the top there. Love it.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All
right. Okay.
Oh, my God. Well, we've got to get Noodles on live. So as soon as I get my patio ready, we're going to do a show from the Yorkie old-fashioned patio. And we'll get you, me, and Noodles, and we'll get the back scratcher out. And we'll redo the scene from Slapshot. You'll be the reporter. We'll put one of those rugs on you, and Noodles will stick you and hook you.
Deal. Yeah, I'm okay.
Slashing is like this. Wow. And you'll be sitting there like, oh, he's good, eh?
He's one of my favorites. Yeah. So he told the story of the Puffin when he had an altercation with the Puffin mascot in Newfoundland. We had a viewer have a Puffin bobblehead and sent it to us. So we got it to Noodles. He has it now on his desk. It's one of my favorite stories that we've ever been able to tell. We got to quickly move on. This show brought to you by Gabriel Pizza. Mm-hmm. Don't forget when the Sens score 4, hopefully on Thursday, as they take on the Washington Capitals. The next day with the Gabriel Pizza app, you can save 40% off any 9-inch pizza the day after when the Sens score 4. Don't forget Gabriel Pizza GabrielPizza.com, and you can order online as well. Lots more stuff of pizza and pasta and donair salads, burgers, all kinds of things. and download the app for exclusive Gabriel Pizza perks. We appreciate all that Gabriel Pizza does, the official pizza of the Ottawa Senators, and of course of Coming in Hot. So let's see. I just want to know, since Noodles was on the show, I haven't really thought of this, for a $50 gift card to email at cihsends@gmail.com. cihsends@gmail.com. How many games did Noodles play in the National Hockey League? We will get you a winner at the end of the show.
Okay. Good question.
And you know what? You'd be surprised, Yorkie. I didn't even prepare that. As things typically go. Okay, let's you know what? Take care of BEI for me, and then we'll get into Quebec City.
All right. Well, today's talk show is brought to you by BEI, our good friends at BEI, helping to shape the Ottawa Valley and helping you out with equipment rentals, topsoil, aggregate sales, custom crushing and screening, as well as hot mix paving. So when you're planning your next project, please consider BEI for all your aggregate supply needs. Hit them up at 613-432-1120 or online at bonisherexcavating.com.
Okay, so Yorkie, as you know by now, yesterday, a little bit of an issue in Quebec City. Just for the record, I have absolutely zero problems with the Ottawa Senators playing preseason games anywhere. I think it's fantastic. Move the brand around. I know even from being in the Maritimes, when you don't have an NHL team, seeing one come through it's game changing. You can be a fan for life. And players,
it's nice to break up training camp, go somewhere. It's a good little trip.
Like, did you go to Charlevoix?
No.
But under Jacques would always have some kind of retreat. They would go to Banff. It went tons of places.
We went to Banff one year. It was a lot of fun. We did Tremblant. When I was in Nashville, we went to Florida. You always do stuff like, so the point is, it's no big deal.
No big deal. None of that's an issue. I have a couple of issues, though, and we'll get to the jersey in a sec. One, I know Cyril went on the radio yesterday and said, we've been planning this for 6 weeks. This was the break in the schedule where we needed to do this.
Yeah.
This is the first time I can think of that they've spent 8 months promoting a preseason game in somebody else's city. They didn't need to do this in the middle of January. They could have done this at the end of the year when most preseason games for the next year get announced. So I just think they took the luster off of, I don't think they knew where Ottawa would be in a playoff spot, all that stuff. But you completely wiped out all the stuff that people were talking about. This team is now third in the Atlantic. We're rolling. We just won through the weekend. And I didn't like that part of it. I didn't think that this was necessary to do in the middle of January. You've got season tickets. You want to get renewed. Telling your fans that, hey, we're going to play games somewhere else in the preseason that you can't see, whatever. That one bothers me. Aside from that, and that's a small thing. That's whatever. Aside from that is the jersey. And I know they admitted they finally understood they did wrong. You never, ever do something negative to your brand. In fact, you won't remember this, but the Senators were struggling at one point more than probably a decade ago. CJOH took a graphic of the logo and turned the 3D logo into a frown and put it on TV. The Sens called and were livid with CTV and said, don't you ever do that to our logo, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So this one surprises me that you would do that to your logo by attaching it to another one. Is it the biggest deal in the world? No, but you never, ever do something.
So the Sens deleted the tweet. You took a screenshot and you got the evidence right there. How about poor Spartacat? Like, Sparty's kind of like my dog around Christmas time when you put like a sweater on it and the dog's not happy. That's not a real smile there from Spartacat. He's like, what's going on here? Why do I have this? Why do I have this jersey? What's help? I put antlers on Charlie last year and Halloween. Anyways, here's the thing. And I said this yesterday. I went on Merrick's show. There were no ill intentions here. They're trying to, like, what's Ottawa's TV? Like, the TV rate, they have the lowest market,
smallest in the country.
It's the smallest in the country. So they're brainstorming in the back rooms here, banging the tables. How do we get more eyes on our product? How do we get our viewership up? At the end of the day, it is important. So you're thinking, okay, Quebec Nordique fans, Quebec people, they don't want to like the Montreal Canadiens because maybe we can steal some of them and get them to be Ottawa Senators fans. So you're thinking. Cyril did say this yesterday. If we could take a take back on that jersey, we'd probably do that. I just think they didn't think it out well enough. And to me, it's as simple as that. It was that you don't do that. I agree. You don't do that. And when I called you yesterday, I had no idea. And we kind of talked to them like, yeah, it's almost like the logo in the room, right? You're not allowed to walk on the logo in the room. You play for the crest on the front, not the name on the back. There is something to that, absolutely. And fans here, I'll say this: the fan base is re-engaged again. They're loving what's going on with the product. They're loving the messaging from the ownership group, and this is really like from day one since they've come in, Wally. I think they've pretty well hit the marks on everything. Like they've been doing a really good job on.
There've been a few issues, but minor, yeah.
But compared to the past,
it's like, night and day.
It's night and day. So I just think Mulligan, first tee, you hit this one out of bounds. Let's re-tee here. Like this one's on the road. It's you might have hit a car too, but it's and the car's coming in, and it's coming in hot. It's coming in hot, but there's nothing malicious here. I just think it wasn't thought out properly. But to me, it comes back to the TV and trying to get more people, more eyes on the Senators.
Right. But so, all right, I'm going to be the fan here for a sec because we've been in the market for, well, I've been here 27 years and you've been here your life. Mm-hmm. Promote the brand here. Like, I understand you need to grow it outside, but start here. I just don't know that they do a good enough job of selling and promoting the brand in Ottawa. And listen, you still have a ton of Leafs fans because their parents grew up as Leafs fans. I get it. They're Bruins fans or they're Montreal fans. Like I understand the challenges in this market of trying to beat and compete with those guys that have already had 100-year foothold in the area. Mm-hmm. So that's tough. But what I don't understand is I keep hearing that this was a ploy for the NCC and to push back. I don't know how that could possibly be. It's not going to force the NCC to do anything.
No.
And if it is, then I don't like using Sens fans as a.
There's zero correlation between those two things of using this as bargaining and saying, "Hey, we're going to do this." No, there's zero chance of this team moving. The ownership group is rock solid.
Absolutely,
it's rock solid.
Not moving.
This team is headed in the right path, and they're looking to. Whenever this deal is going to get done, it's going to happen. But it's just, hey, it's something. I just think they thought of it. Hey, it's a good idea. Let's do it. Okay, let's go with it. And all of a sudden, tweet deleted. A little bit of damage.
There is a thing about this regular season games that Andlauer said there was going to be regular season games played there.
Remember that.
So one is the LA Kings played 2 games there last year, regular season games. Now, if I'm a Sens fan, I'm livid at the thought of you taking regular season games away and putting them in a different market anywhere. I can understand Europe. I'll give you the Europe stuff, but not 5 hours away in another market. I'm just that to me won't fly. But my understanding is that's not what he meant with the Ottawa Senators. As of right now, they have no intentions of playing regular season games in Quebec City. If they do, then I think we can all, I hate to use the term pitchforks, but I would be really upset if they took and put regular season games in Quebec City.
Yeah, no, that wasn't the intention behind this. This is just the thing people are most ticked off is it's the jersey. That's when you look at the backlash, that's the thing that people are most upset about. And hey, like they said, we do a do-over on that one.
They probably had a big marketing meeting. They had 15 people in a boardroom. I don't know. I'm making a number up.
I don't know.
And they brought the jersey in and they went, yeah, Timmy, you nailed it. Great job. This is going to be, people are going to love this. It'd be awesome. I just, you never, like Yorkie as a player, and it goes back even to playing house league.
Yeah.
For the most part, the jersey doesn't hit the floor. The logo doesn't touch the floor. And
the Sens logo doesn't connect.
Could you imagine the Leaf logo if they did that to somewhere, or the Montreal logo if they stuck that on a Bruins jersey? Like, oh, we're going to play games together, so let's mold the jersey together.
Especially right after a home game when it was taken over by the Leafs fans. That used to really bother me when I played here. Like it would make you'd be so pissed off. All these stupid Leaf fans in our building, and they're playing, and you were at the game. What was it, like 80-20?
Okay, but don't you get more energy from it?
I just said
the
you did. Yeah,
buzz
you
in the
do.
building. Like it's fired up.
You do, but you don't like it. You do get, I'll tell you this, you do get energized when you make a big hit or a big play and your fans react, and like the energy. I just remember coming out for games in the playoffs when back then the Corral Center was just buzzing. You get the hairs on your neck as a player stand up, and you get like, if you're not ready to go, that wakes you up in a hurry. It's just and it is
It
annoying.
didn't matter if it was November, December, middle of January, February, Tuesday. Like you were always wound for Leaf.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like they're probably like thinking of ways too in Ottawa. Like, how do we? Well, the easiest way how do you get this rink full again? Win.
You win,
and you got to win.
Now,
you got to win.
Here's
Make
a
the playoffs.
question, Yorkie. If you can sell your ticket for 4 times the price.
Yeah, I know where you're going here. Yeah.
Would you not do it?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? But then when you're doing it, you're selling it to Leafs fans. It's
called a business decision.
Yeah.
Like some people sell their Leaf tickets if they're 1 or 2 games a year to help buy their mini packs.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's just I don't know what the right answer to that is, Wally. It's just, I can just tell you from a player's perspective, it's super annoying when your building gets taken over. It's super annoying.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Then you score early to take the fans out of it, they always say.
No, I know, but it's your rink. It's, you come out and you're playing at home and you're like, looking at the stands. Shit, there's a lot of blue jerseys up here.
It happened. It happens in other buildings. If you go out west,
absolutely. You go, Vancouver, every this isn't an Ottawa thing. It's a league wide thing.
And you get tons of Bruins fans in Ottawa.
Not Buffalo, like Leafs games.
Travel well. No, not like Leaf games, but that's because there's Leaf fans in the market. Like Boston has a huge group when they come through here. Even Edmonton now. Like I was in the car
everywhere.
Right now it's like, oh, it passes to McDavid. Here's people start cheering outside your market when the players are playing in different markets.
I remember when I was in Anaheim, like there'd be a lot of Mighty Ducks jerseys in the rink to see Paul Kariya. Like people want to see the Stars. Like that's
right.
Yeah, we used to pull in. We used to wheel in on the bus. I remember this. I actually remember this very vividly. We pulled it on the bus at 4 a.m. The old Weston Harbor Castle, 4 a.m. There was 50 fans waiting there outside the bus at 4 a.m. to get Kariya's autograph. Like at 4 a.m. Kariya just put his head down and walked really fast off the bus. And Tamo Samani came behind him. He's like, "Wow, what are you doing? People are 4 a.m. You're gonna sign. Get back." So he came back and signed. But crazy, eh? Like crazy.
It is interesting to watch. Anyway, that's just, they're not moving. They're going to play some preseason games. They made a horrible decision with the logo. I think that's it.
Yeah, and move on.
Hey, there is a thought though, Yorkie. You and I do the show from there, so we'll see if we can sort that out. I've never been in the Quebec City building.
No,
Videotron said no. And the Nordiques were gone when I started covering the NHL.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if I played in the Quebec building. I don't think I did.
Give me a second. I'll look it up.
Everybody was always hyped up to go to Quebec City back in the day, though, because they had a bar there called the Dago Bear, and it was legendary. It was legendary around the NHL. I remember guys in Detroit getting excited to go there. I'm gonna go to the Dago Bear after the game.
That's too fun. Okay, let's see. What would that have been called back then?
The Colisée? Was it the Colisée, the Quebec Coliseum or Colisée?
You're not listed as playing at the Quebec Colisée.
No, I think I might have been a health bomb. early, my first couple of years in Detroit, I was like my God, it was up and down like a yo-yo. They would call me up for games and I wouldn't even play sometimes. And they just send me back the next day. They just bring me up, bring me down. And it wasn't an easy flight from Glens Falls, New York, which is about 45 minutes to an hour north of Albany Airport. Like you had to drive an hour to the airport, get in the plane, and the plane was always late or delayed, and then fly to Detroit. And I told you the story when I almost missed the game once, right? It's my
Yes.
very first NHL game. I almost missed the game because I was late.
I got a question for you before I forget, and that is, you have played 2 games at the Ottawa Civic Center.
Yeah, I did.
What
I
games
remember
are those?
When I was with Detroit.
Of course.
Early, it was one of those games too. They called me up the night before. I flew into Ottawa on this little tiny plane, and it was like a 6-seater. And all my buddies came to the game. I think one of my buddies showed up the next. We went out after the game, had a great time. But that rink, I remember the game. I actually think we tied it. And Ottawa at the time, as people know, wasn't very good. And Detroit was a powerhouse. Like we had an $80 million payroll in the early 90s. And we tied the game. And Scotty Bowman was so mad because all Ottawa did that entire game was flip the puck out of the zone. So anytime we got it, they just flipped it. They iced it. They flipped it. So the next day at practice, Bowman is still mad. It's like, that's it. From now on, what we're doing is flipping the puck out of the zone. That's what they're just going to flip the puck out of the zone. He's like, Coffee, line up here. Eyes him at the red line. Got the whistle. He's like, all right, Coffee, skate up there and flip it. And Coffee's like, this guy, Hall of Famer, Stanley Cup, Norris. He's like, excuse me? Like, you want me to flip the puck? And he's the drill wasn't even organized or planned. He was just so mad. He wanted the Detroit Red Wings to work on flipping the puck. So you got the best skating defenseman. And I think the drill lasted about 5 minutes because there was no rhyme or reason for how to do it or how to perform the drill. But he was so pissed off. We tied that game. We worked on high flippers for 5 minutes.
All right. I totally forgot about you. Not obviously playing for the Sens, but playing in Detroit. Okay. We got to move on. That is games coming up today are key. So this show is brought to you by Bet365. Open an account today for a wide range of markets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code NATION, NATION. Must be 19 years of age or older. Please play responsibly and download the app today to where you will see some key games. Does Ottawa remain in third spot? You got Boston at Buffalo.
Ooh.
Then you've got Chicago at Tampa. Those are 2 huge games. The Carolina Hurricanes, of course, which we haven't even gotten into Mikko Rantanen trade yet. Are in the at the New York Rangers, and the Jets are at Montreal. The Rangers dropped, I think, below Detroit over the night. Montreal still very much in it. Interesting, like they're going to face the Winnipeg Jets. There's a lot of key matchups. In the East tonight. I like it. It's fun. Fun to score goals now.
Yeah, when you look at it right now, it's a nice little some nice potential for the Senators because you look at the Jets, one of the best, they're the best team in the league right now. So hopefully they get the 2 points there, and it's not a 3-pointer. Montreal wins, and then Chicago, Tampa. I'm not liking the Blackhawks' chances heading into Tampa, but who knows? It's maybe Tampa's asleep at the wheel for the first couple periods. Yeah, it's good. Buffalo at home, they could take down the Bruins. This will be an interest. This is going to be like now coming in to the finish line here. We're going to be scoreboard watching. And
okay, here's it. Tampa is returning after a 4-game road trip, which they've lost 3 of 4.
Yeah, they're not losing tonight.
Well, Chicago's
terrible.
Chicago is 1-4-3 in the last 8 games.
Yeah, they're looking to get another first overall pick this year. Have you watched the Blackhawks play?
I can't.
It's terrible.
They've allowed at least 3 goals or more in all of their last 8 games.
I'm quickly trying to see. I haven't even checked on Bedard lately because he was off to an atrocious start statistically, right?
Connor Bedard, 49 games, 43 points, 13 goals, 30 assists.
Okay.
He currently has, hang on a sec. Since December 21st, bear with me as I type this data.
Yeah, no, he's picked it up because he got off to a really, really slow start. He had like 4
in his last 16 games, 6 goals, 17 points. He's been held off the score sheet twice.
He's so good on the power play. Like when you watch him, he's like a power play merchant. Like he's just, when you give him time and space, it's unbelievable. I'm really interested to see what happens to him though as he gets bigger, stronger, older, of his 5-on-5 play. Just with the size and the skating as the games get bigger, but he's still young. Like it's very unfair to watch him now and say, yeah, look at he's struggling or this or that. Like he's still so young, Wally. But I do have concerns about his skating. I have concerns about his skating and his size, if in fact he can be a generational player. Because if you look at all the generational players in the game, they can all skate. Really elite skaters: McKinnon, McDavid, Makar, like those guys, Rantanen, 6'4", Draisaitl, 6'2", 6'3". Like there's not a lot.
Is Sidney Crosby an elite skater though? I think that's more of a Connor Bedard type player.
I don't think so at all. I think Crosby does his best work in tight spaces. They're so far apart from similar players. His whole game, at least to this point, when I watch Bedard play, and I haven't watched him a lot, it's on the outside. It's shooting, great shot, like better shot than Sid, but he has a hard time getting to the inside. Don't forget, Sidney Crosby has the biggest ass, legs, strongest core probably in the hockey world. Like he's like a centaur. Like, and he invites contact in the corner, Wally. He wants to take you on physically, and then he rolls off. Bedard can't do that.
I wonder how much Jaromir Jagr may have played a part in that.
Wally. Well, Sid wasn't watching his work ethic off the ice, but probably. Actually, you know what? That's not fair. Jagr actually did work out a lot.
He may have the best off-ice workout. Sid's right. He goes to the rink at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Practice habits were like, here's the difference. Practice habits from guys I know, Colby Armstrong, and guys, Andreas Johansson, that knew Sid. His practice habits were the best on the team. Like practicing hard, staying out extra, doing more. Yes, we had AJ on the show. He talked about Yags showing up late for practice, driving the coaches nuts, not working that hard in practice. Like Crosby would never go on the ice with no shoulder pads for a no contact because it's not his game. So, but think about that for a sec. The players in the league now, the best of the best. How many little guys are there that aren't elite skaters that are? Like there's not
many. Sidney Crosby, the best practice player I ever watched.
Is he?
By far. The stuff he would do in practice, just everything for him was full speed. And I remember, and Cody Ceci was the one that confirmed it. Sid goes, "You just get me a puck within 5 feet of me. That's all you need to do." And then he takes.
Well, I used to say this to the kids I used to coach when I could actually skate and do things pretty well. I'd say, kids, you can't give a good player a bad pass. It's impossible. So we used to have this. It's true. You can't give a good player a bad pass. Anything within the vicinity, he'll get it.
Yeah, Claude Giroux's phenomenal for it. He can take pucks off his skates. Anyway,
he's really good. Yeah, at that.
Here's a quick look at the standings before we get out of here. As Ottawa, hopefully, will still be there by tomorrow. Hopefully, Boston and Tampa lost. And then we're smooth sailing until we get to Thursday for the most part, I think. So there. Pizza. Let me quickly get to your pizza winner. And then I got to tell you about our guest coming up.
Are we gonna break the news? We're gonna tell people now, get people excited.
Yeah, that's my plan.
All right, it's a good get, Wally. It's a good get. I'm excited for this.
Michael Glue
is coming on the show tomorrow. There's our guest, Michael Glue. Mike, we can't wait to have you on the show tomorrow.
You're the guy that holds the show together.
Oh, there's a dad joke right there.
I'll get that taken care of. We'll get the looked after the show. Okay, tomorrow, 3 p.m. live. Yorkie's old tenant, Danny Heatley, will join the show.
The Heater joining the big show. Coming on the talk show. Coming on the talk show tomorrow. The Heater. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to the Heater coming on. Are we his first podcast?
No, he did. he did one. Is it Empty Netters? He did one podcast. He wasn't supposed to.
Oh yeah.
And he kind of he made the announcement that he was coming back to Ottawa before Ottawa had a chance. So
Gotcha.
Anyway,
Awesome. This will be fun.
it'll be good. I'll ask about the heater jeans for sure.
He's gonna like, what are you talking about? He lost those jeans like 20 years ago.
I've been going through old stories to see what else we can come up with. Anyway, we'll have a great time tomorrow. So we'll see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern. The Sens on the ice at 11. I will be there to get you whatever the news is. Hopefully we'll hear more about Linus Ullmark if he's going to return on Thursday. Until tomorrow.
Is Wally Vision up and running today?
It will be if I can get it. I gotta walk Gertie and then I gotta get to the rink. So yeah.
Right. Maybe I'll come visit you. I want to see Wally Vision in action.
It's impressive. It's impressive.
Okay.
All right. See you tomorrow, everybody. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to Coming In Hot. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.